I'm Nisha DeGaring.
And I'm Doug Jessup. Family Heritage Stories exist to give you ideas and examples of stories from the past to help shape the future.
It could be anything like a recipe from Grandma or a vacation location where your ancestors came from. These stories deserve to be passed down. Welcome to Family Heritage Stories, where we talk about what makes us who we are. Things like traditions, values, and culture.
How are these things passed down from generation to generation? Through deeds, through words, through stories. Hi guys, this is Doug Jessup with Family Heritage Stories. With me today, another guy with FamilySearch.org, okay, and that RootsTech thing, that big little conference. You know, it's actually the largest genealogical conference in the entire world. But before you fall asleep, let me explain something, and I want you to help me, okay?
Absolutely.
Okay, I hate to say this, but okay, I could guess that a lot of people out there and remember our great grandmas with these big, huge books. And all. Now, if I told you that I had a TV show about genealogy, a whole bunch of people might tune out and go, yeah, okay. If I had a show about family history, okay, yeah, maybe. But if I have a show that says, I want to hear your stories, because if those stories don't get passed down from generation to generation, they're lost and those people are forgotten. How do we address the people out there watching right here, right now, and saying, you know, what's this FamilySearch.org thing and what's this RootsTech thing?
Absolutely. You know what? RootsTech is really cool.
Yeah, it is.
RootsTech is fun. When people come for the first time, they're like, I had no idea it could be this exciting. Everyone has a story. Everyone's story wants to be heard and learned. This is the opportunity to make it fun. This is the opportunity to come together, a bunch of people who think the same. And we have anywhere from 13, 14-year-olds that are these amazing, I would call genealogists, that are cool kids, to 80. So it doesn't matter your age. You can come here and find things that you're going to get excited about. There is just something that happens. If you've watched RootsTech before, when we bring these celebrities up and we reveal to them some of their family history, they always start crying every single time, because there is just an excitement when you learn your family. Family is so important.
Well, the other thing that was kind of cool last year is there's all these different societies from all over the world.
Absolutely.
I mean, here's the Polish Society, here's the people from Italy, here's people from Japan. I mean, and then there were people even in costumes. There was this one guy that was the Sons of the American Revolution. I'm going, man, this is cool stuff.
Yeah.
So we want to invite you. And again, how do you sign up?
RootsTech.org.
It's that simple.
Easy.
This is the uniform of an American Revolutionary soldier that would have been in the Continental Army. And this particular pattern of uniform was the uniform of the Delaware soldiers. There were 4 or 5 different uniforms. For instance, Washington had a buff trim with his blue uniform, whereas the Delaware have the red. And the Utah Society, Sons of the American Revolution, our color guard came together and decided that we would use this uniform because of its red, white, and blue, and it speaks of America. Heritage means everything to me. I'm actually getting chills right now as I think about it, because I am a culmination of my parents, my grandparents, and my other ancestors. Their lives made me possible. Their experiences, the things that they did, had influence upon me. I could tell you about my great-grandmother that I knew that passed away when I was 12, and her stories of being in a covered wagon from Butte, Montana, and going to Boise, Idaho to Homestead. I could tell you stories about my Grandpa McGregor, who at one time was so poor he was eating orange peelings out of a trash can. But yet he went on with only an 8th grade education to build his own business and become a very successful man. I could tell you about my mother's mom, who was a very hardworking woman. Her grandmother, my great-grandmother, who came from Holland. And the stories of how they worked and lived and settled in the Ogden area in Ogden, Utah, and the things that they did. And I love all these stories, and as I hear them and as I have learned about them since I was a child, I'm learning my heritage. I'm learning about who I am and the importance of that to life. So heritage is something very significant to me. In order to join the Sons of the American Revolution, you must be connected to a recognized patriot of the American Revolution. And there has to be a paper trail. It can't be a simple pedigree. So I worked with a genealogist in the SAR, and they helped me connect to one of my patriots. And his name was John Young. And John Young fought in the American Revolution. He actually joined up at Valley Forge with Washington in the spring. This is the story that I know. And as a very young man, and stayed with the war till 1781 when it concluded. Now, John Young had several children, and 2 of those children were named Susanna and Louise, and I come through them. But they had a brother who was named Brigham. So Brigham Young's father was a patriot of the American Revolution, and I descend through his sisters, and it's exciting to me to understand what this man did as a very young man, joining up with Washington, and that he desired freedom and liberty. And so I wear this in honor of John Young, knowing that he too at one time wore a uniform and carried one of those 10-pound muskets, a flintlock, and defended our liberties so that you and I might have those freedoms today. You're watching Family Heritage Stories. We'll be right back.
Thank you for joining us for this special episode of Family Heritage Stories. If you would like to help us continue with this great and important programming, please visit herosalutestories.org.
Every veteran has a story that deserves to be remembered. At Family Heritage Stories, we collect, preserve, and share those personal experiences of our veterans. Your donations help us document and honor those veterans and their legacies for generations to come. Join us in ensuring that their legacies live on. Donate today at herosalutestories.org. There's a special bond between grandparents and grandkids.
Tell me a story about your grandma or grandpa.
So now, of course, Family Heritage Stories is going to be at RootsTech. You know, we're kind of like, RootsTech TV. And we want to invite everyone out there to come to our booth and answer the following question. And so we're going to ask Brandon this question right here, right now.
Live.
You ready? You ready? Live.
Yep.
Tell me a story about one of your grandmas or grandpas.
Which one?
You
so
pick.
I think of 2 come to mind. First off, my grandpa Inkley was a character. He had really bad back problems, but I remember sitting at Sunday dinner, and Sunday dinner with the family I don't know, it was a huge room, just full of people.
Okay.
And I remember sitting there as like a 8 or 9-year-old kid, and I saw Grandpa, he started looking at his glass of water, and I'm like, what is he doing? he kept looking at his water and looking around, and all of a sudden he just took that glass of water and just started a huge water fight. So there's 30 of us, Sunday dinner, having a huge water fight.
Oh, that's funny.
He was just so much fun.
Oh, yeah. And so you did that without getting in trouble?
Wow. Grandpa got in trouble, but we didn't, because we were just following Grandpa, so it was okay. Hi, this is Brandon Beckstead from RootsTech and Family Search. You're watching Family Heritage Stories. We'll be right back.
Family Heritage Stories features examples of stories from the past to help shape the future.
If you would like help saving your stories with a private interview, contact Krista at fedorafoundation.org for pricing and availability.
I'm here at RootsTech because I think it's a way for me and for my family to find ways to stay connected, to stay together, to learn about their heritage and to understand how the heritage that they're building is going to contribute to a wonderful future for their progeny as well.
Later in the show, Brandon Fugel shares a story from his collection of historical artifacts.
There is no greater storyteller than Doug Jessup. His work to preserve our cultural heritage and tell the stories that are really shaping not only our past but our future are more important than ever.
What does heritage mean to you?
But heritage is important because it anchors us in our past. It helps us recognize that we're connected to something bigger than ourselves. It gives us a great sense of belonging and connection, but it also helps us in our sense of where we're going, who we can become. We can find answers to questions about the sort of things that we might have capacity for, and the values that we hold and the goals that we want to set. Trying to find as many engaging ways as possible to engage young people in family history. So I'm engaged with trying to help young people get connected to family history for their well-being, and to do that I have to find innovative ways, because sitting in a library doesn't excite them.
Brandon, I was raised with the phrase, remember where you came from. Mm-hmm. What does heritage mean to you?
When I first came to work with Family Search and RootsTech, heritage was just kind of fun. Mm-hmm. But since I've been here, heritage has become so important to me because I realized it kind of makes who I am. Yeah. For instance, my wife's family, her father was born in Holland, came here, but we had no Dutch traditions. Oh. And I'm like, wait a minute, this doesn't feel right. So I created a whole bunch of Dutch traditions. I'm not even the one that's from Holland, you know, but knowing that heritage for my children, to know where they're from and those customs, it makes who they are. We need to know that. If we know who we are just so much stronger in everyday life. Heritage it's so important because it is us.
So out of curiosity, what kind of traditions have you started?
So we have a big Dutch Christmas where Sinterklaas comes to visit the kids. We've got, we make oliebollen and hagelslag and just all this food. There's games that they do in Holland that we have learned and do, and it's become everyone's favorite part of Christmas is our Dutch Christmas.
Okay, now people are Googling, okay, how the heck did he say that, right? Because that's the interesting part. A lot of the time, those traditions, values, and culture are passed down through food, and so,
absolutely.
Are there any recipes that kind of been passed down yet?
Absolutely. So one of my favorite parts, again, we're going to Christmas, something called Fin and Haddie. It's smoked haddock. Yep. And it comes from England, and it's been through my family since they were back in England. We still do it today. It's not Christmas until I've had my Fin and Haddie. I love food. Oh yeah. And the tradition that comes with it, it makes meaning. Even if this is a terrible recipe, I love it, and it's part of who I am, and I never go without it.
Oh, well, let's put it this way. Okay, I grew up with lutefisk, so I know exactly what you're saying there. We're back with Brandon, and Brandon, RootsTech is almost here. And we're going to be having a booth, you know, Family Heritage Stories is going to have a booth there. But what other kind of categories are people going to see in person?
Absolutely. So we have genealogy companies, of course.
Yes.
DNA companies, which is huge. You really got to do the DNA. We've got travel. Heritage travel has become really big because you can go and enjoy and have a great vacation and continue your genealogy.
Yes.
We have art, we have music. There really is all kinds of entertainment. There's games, things to do with the family. There's just everything to do with the family is here at RootsTech.
Okay, and you know what? Don't be surprised if you see some of that stuff in future episodes of Family Heritage Stories.
You learn a lot about traditions, values, and culture when you travel.
It's the ocean versus the Dutch. That's the battle that's going on right now. It's been going on for hundreds of years. And you know who's winning? The Dutch. See all that water? Super ingenious the way they designed it. Can't you tell the engineering marvel?
I hear one more thing about the water.
Look at this map of Holland in 1300. Compare this to a map of Holland today. The country has gained land. Yes, thousands and thousands of square kilometers of land has been won back from the ocean. The story of this battle between the ocean and the Dutch explains why Holland is good at cheese, why Amsterdam has canals, why Dutch people ride bikes. And for those who are confused, the Dutch, Netherlands, and Holland are all the same thing, and they all have different reasons, and I'm not going to go into them. You can look at Wikipedia. It's just when I use those words, it all has to do with the same thing, which is this country, okay? So the Netherlands, or Holland, or whatever you want to call it, is a country that is sinking. It's actually, the majority of it is under sea level or right at sea level. I mean, if you look at the map of Holland, you see that a lot of it is just these little strips of land that are right up in the North Sea, and the ocean and the wind just kind of eat away at this land year after year. Instead of fleeing these coastal communities that were slowly sinking into the water, about 500 years ago, the Dutch started to fight back. Now, let's just be clear about one thing, which is fighting the ocean, the incessant, timeless powerhouse, the ocean, is a very difficult thing.
Objects with stories are treasures remembered. It's time now for a visit with Brandon Fugel.
Hi, this is Doug Jessup. Welcome to Treasures Remembered. With me today, Brandon Fugel. Now, Brandon, you always bring the most incredible stuff, but today you brought a lot of stuff, but I have to admit, for members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, this has got to be the most impressive thing I've ever seen.
I believe that in this case is held the Holy Grail of Latter-day Saint history. This is the Book of Mormon, belonging to Oliver Cowdery. This is Oliver Cowdery's Book of Mormon from Kirtland.
So who is Oliver Cowdery?
Oliver Cowdery is essentially the co-founder of the faith, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. He is the principal scribe of the Book of Mormon and one of the three witnesses that went to his death, never denying his testimony that he had been visited by an angel and shown these plates, this ancient record that was translated by Joseph Smith. Oliver, as the most important witness of the restoration, was also the only witness to all of the priesthood truth claims of the faith. He's the only witness to John the Baptist restoring the Aaronic priesthood and Peter, James, and John restoring the Melchizedek priesthood.
In addition to all the patina on this, this also has a special inscription, if you will, on not just 1 or 2 pages, but I think it's what, 23 pages?
25 pages bear his handwriting. So you have 25 pages of Oliver's book that bear his notes in the margins. I think it's important also to note that Oliver was the only witness to the angelic events and happenings at the pulpit of the Kirtland Temple, where Moses, Elijah, and Elias appeared, as well as Christ himself, as reported by Cowdery and Joseph Smith.
Now, this was bound by him as well?
Yeah, this is bound by him with his signature red Morocco leather, his tooling, his insignia, and his initials, O.P. Cowdery, as well as his handwriting throughout. A full forensic analysis has been completed regarding the book, matching every letter to the Book of Mormon manuscript, where over 90% of that manuscript is his handwriting.
I got a couple questions of Brandon. It's smaller than I expected.
Right. Well, the second edition, the 1837 in Kirtland, which not only contained thousands of corrections overseen by the principal scribe and the translator of the Book of Mormon, also was printed in more of a handheld sized edition, I think for missionary work to a degree. I mean, it was carried as a missionary tract at the time, and it was a lot easier to put into a pocket or to be able to store away as compared to the 1830 Grandin Press version from Palmyra. The 1837 edition is 10 times more rare than the 1830 first printing.
Now, I also noticed the writing in there is really, really faint, and it's amazing that it was preserved. Is that ink or pencil?
The notes left by Oliver Cowdery are in pencil. They're still legible, thank goodness.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So it's an incredible piece of history and what I believe to be the holy grail of Latter-day Saint history.
Everyone has a story. Objects with stories are treasures remembered. We'll be right back. Everyone has a story.
And sometimes those stories are told through music.
Mama, ik wil een man, hè, wat voor man, mijn lieve kind. Wil jij dan een Engelsman? Nee, mama, nee. Een Engelsman, die wil ik niet, want I love you versta ik niet. Dit is mijn plezier, met die boeionkerels hier. En mama, ik wil een man, hè, wat voor man, mijn lieve kind. Wil jij dan een Duitse man? Nee, mama, nee. Een Duitse man, die wil ik niet, want schwijnenvlees, dat lust ik niet. Dit is mijn plezier, met die boeionkerels hier. Mama, ik wil een man, hè, wat voor man, mijn lieve kind. Wil jij dan een Fransman? Nee, mama, nee. Een Franse man, die wil ik niet, want parlez-vous versta ik niet. Dit is mijn plezier, met die boeionkerels hier. En mama, ik wil een man, hè, wat voor man, mijn lieve kind. Wil jij dan een boerenman? Ja, mama, ja. Een boerenman, die wil ik wel. Een boer zijn armen liggen wil ik wel. Dit is mijn plezier, met die boeionkerels hier.
Okay, so we've got people all excited about RootsTech. What do they do next?
Sign up. First come to it. Whether you're going to be in person or online, sign up so that you get all of the updates. Anything that's new or happening, we can tell you.
Okay.
And then just come. If you're coming on online, just get on rootstech.org, and there will be things going on all day where you can learn and grow. But you can also go and find all the things that were pre-recorded. So we have live things going on, but we have pre-recorded. Again, you can go to the expo hall online or in person. You can get great deals. We're going to have deals going throughout the entire time. There'll be a page on the website where you can go and find the amazing deals that you only find during RootsTech.
Everyone has a story. Stories have power. They help us understand each other.
If you want help saving your family heritage stories with a private interview, contact Krista at fedorafoundation.org for pricing and availability. It's our honor to be able to help people remember where they came from.
The Fedora Foundation supports the collection, preservation, and distribution of diverse stories of traditions, values, and culture through Family Heritage Stories, on TV and online at familyheritagestories.org.
How do you want to be remembered? With another episode of Family Heritage Stories, I'm Misha DeGuerin.
And I'm Doug Jessup.
Een Engelsman, die wil ik niet, want I love you versta ik niet. Dit is mijn plezier, met die boeionkerels hier. En mama, ik wil een man, hè, wat voor man, mijn lieve kind. Wil jij dan een Duitse man? Nee, mama, nee. Een Duitse man, die wil ik niet, want schwijnenvlees, dat lust ik niet. Dit is mijn plezier, met die boeionkerels hier. Mama, ik wil een man, hè, wat voor man, mijn lieve kind. Wil jij dan een Fransman? Nee, mama, nee. Een Franse man, die wil ik niet, want parlez-vous versta ik niet. Dit is mijn plezier, met die boeionkerels hier. En mama, ik wil een man, hè, wat voor man, mijn lieve kind. Wil jij dan een boerenman? Ja, mama, ja. Een boerenman, die